Zuckerberg writes a love letter to a lot of people that claimed he was censoring them in 2020 election. So this is, if you can show the logo all the way at the top so they know it's Meta. Okay, so it's to the Honorable Jim Jordan, Chairman, Committee on the Judiciary. And then he says, Chairman Jordan, I appreciate the committee's interest in content moderation on online platforms. As you are aware, Meta has produced thousands of documents as part of your investigation and made a dozen employees available for transcribed interviews. Further to our cooperation with your investigation, I welcome the opportunity to share what I've taken away from this process. There's a lot of...
Okay, so this is a long introduction that I've allowed for this video so you can understand what's going on here. This really is breaking news. You know, Mark Zuckerberg has put out a letter explaining what happened with the 2020 election, really around the time of 2021. I mean, look at the screen. You'll see that famous C word that I'm not going to say, right? Show up. And it's all what we know about Facebook, right? It's all of what we already know, but he's basically coming out and he's conceding to it. You know, he's confessing his sins, right? And it's just going to get washed out. This is just going to be okay. So let's get into it.
Talks right now around how the U.S. government interacts with companies like Meta, and I want to be clear about our position. Our platforms are for everyone. We're about promoting speech and helping people connect in a safe and secure way. As part of this, we regularly hear from governments around the world and others with various concerns around public discourse and public safety. Okay, we're good so far. In 2021, senior officials from Biden...
I'm going to stop with the in 2021. I'm going to actually skip ahead a little bit. I don't want that part in here. You guys can go back and look at the original clip. I don't think this is necessary, even need to go there. You know, I really don't. It in fact will infuriate me even more. And I'll tell you why at the end.
Decisions, including COVID-19 related changes. No, but we said yes. I also think we made some choices that, with the benefit of hindsight and new information, we wouldn't make today. Like I said to our teams at the time, I feel strongly that we should not compromise our content standards due to pressure from any administration in either direction. And we're ready to push back if something like this happens again. In a separate situation, the FBI warned us about a potential Russian disinformation operation about the Biden family and Burisma in the leads up to the 2020 election. That fall, when we saw a New York Post story, we all remember this story, reporting on corruption allegations, including then Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden's family. Guys, this is pretty bad. I mean, it doesn't get worse than this. We sent that story to fact checkers for review and temporarily demoted it while waiting for a reply. It's since been made clear that the reporting was not Russian disinformation. And in retrospect, we shouldn't have demoted the story. We've changed our policy and processes to make sure this doesn't happen again. For instance, we no longer temporarily demote things in the U.S. while waiting for fact checkers. Rob, if you can.
Okay, so I don't need to go any further, right? By the way, guys, if you like these clips, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe and notification bell. Thank you for watching and everything that you do. Thank you. Thank you so much. So listen, I don't even have to go any further with this, if you will, because at the end of the day, look at what he just said. I remember this time so clear in America. When that Hunter Biden laptop came up, I was like, surely this is what it is. And this is what's going to happen. Okay, we're good. You know, Trump is going to get reelected, because when the American people see the kind of lies that are happening and how they were used, you know, to with corruption, our tax dollars, all of this bit, Joe Biden will not be this innocent guy that everybody's trying to play him out to be. I had literally just arrived to the quote right wing, right? And I knew it because I was so betrayed by so many lies that were told to me. That's when my whole thing about inconvenient truth, all of this, it really went into overdrive, and it's never stopped. It's never stopped. Thank God, right? And I was like, oh my God, I cannot wait. I wasn't on Twitter then. You know, I wasn't on, but I was on Facebook. And I noticed this story was not moving and nothing was happening with it. And you could only hear it in one place. And at that time, the country was so polarized that people thought all of Fox News, the whole Fox News was racist, like the whole Fox News. And I remember it was because of people like D.L. Hewley who would say Fox News is racist. A whole network. I wonder if the shekels were that much, like if they were that worthy, like if they were that necessary for him. Were they worth it, to promote this type of divisive narrative? Anyway, I digress. And then you heard nothing about it. They hid the story. Everybody was in on it and colluded to hide the truth from the American people. Now this is just going to come out. Mark Zuckerberg's getting ahead of trials and stuff. And he's like, oh, basically, yeah, whoopsie daisy. We did listen to the FBI and, well, we made a mistake, but, we'll be, hopefully let's bury the hatchet, right? Let's let bygones be bygones. Water under the bridge. And it will be for him, though. It will be.
I said, so Zuckerberg just admitted to working with Biden-Harris administration to censor Americans. He's either admitting to this because he's being honorable, he's done with the Democratic Party, or he's getting ahead of a whistleblower. Either way, this is a very hard letter for him to write. Tom, your thoughts on the story?
Well, I think he's getting ahead of a whistleblower because I think there's going to be people that testify because there's going to be hearings. Trump wins, there is going to be hearings, and he knows it. How does he know? Well, words talk, numbers scream. And if you're Zuck, how do you scream? You scream with lobbyists. Rob, you have that chart real quick? So lobbying is how he talks to the government, and then he knows what's going on. He hears from people. Take a look at this. The social media people, which is Meta, ByteDance, which is our good friends at TikTok, right? X, Discord, and Snap. This is what they all spend. And if you take a look, Snap, Discord, and X, they hardly spend anything, not even 8% of it. The majority is ByteDance and Meta. Of the $30 million it spent, look at that blue bar. Meta spends by far the most. Of 142 registered lobbyists on social media, Meta has 71.
Get out of here, 50%.
50% of them. ByteDance is 45. And X, Discord, and Snap, they only have 25, with Snap and Discord having 17. So that means that Elon's got 8 lobbyists, like 11%.
How do you process that?
I process it is that Zuck is writing this to us, to Jim Jordan, who is going to chair the hearings. He knows what's coming, and he has the lobbyists up there that they have their ears on the ground. Lobbyists don't only talk to our elected officials, they listen to them. And I think Zuck knows exactly what's going on. There are stories out there and there are statistics out there that Instagram had and still has a pedophile problem. Pedophiles use coding and they try to beat the system.
All right. And we're going to slow down there but I forgot Tom kept going, right? Shout out to Tom. So what he's saying there, it's huge, right? I mean, he knows Trump is going to win. By the way, the fact that he knows this so much to write this apology, if you will, this philagier, like, just here I am kind of letter, it makes me wonder, like, well, how do you know who you're talking to, right? Okay, so there are going to be hearings, and then what? For what? Who gets in trouble for this, or who releases the shackles from us, content creators, right? You notice that just now I had to say, whoa, let me chill out right there, blah blah blah, and I respect it. I have to, right? But it's this constant censorship that you always think of, that's in the back of your mind, and you have to work with what you got and figure it out, because you want to get the news out to the people. You want to tell people what's going on, the truth, all of it, right? So you do what you can with what you got, but it's not supposed to be like this. This is America. And when I was growing up, and I'm only 40, it wasn't all of this censorship. I'm sure there were probably some things that were censored, but not to this max, where I remember during the time of the Great Sniffle that, caused legislation to shut down this country. People were saying, well, we're not sure if it's safe for people to know everything. I don't even understand what that means. That's for the American people to figure out. I stopped using Facebook long ago. Facebook, I guess now works like an algorithm kind of thing. Maybe if you keep posting, and then people will see. I don't know. But I noticed I started getting shadow banned, whatever. I was like, I'm not even coming back here. I stopped using it. because my hands felt tied. So Mark Zuckerberg decided to, this is complete fascism, right? The government worked with a corporation to shut us up. Well, I wonder how many they're working with. Anyway, so it infuriates me again, especially around the great sniffle, especially around what was used for the great sniffle. And we couldn't talk about it. And still to now, I don't even talk about it anymore. I gave out what I could, how I could, and I left it alone because the censorship around that was extraordinary. But now one day they loosen up the grip a little bit and we're supposed to just forget. Now these hearings aren't going to do a single thing because guess what? The government worked with this corporation. No matter how you slice it, the government worked with the corporation, worked with the Biden administration. And I think he made sure to name the Biden administration. And the Biden administration will say something in some fashion like, well, we felt like it was the safest thing to do and it was an official move. And now he's immune from it. Right? Because, that's what happened with that Supreme Court case. I don't mean to drag this. I'm just really, 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 I'm mad. I am mad. I'm mad. People get to do whatever they want and then say, oh, whoops, I did it. And I wouldn't do it again. And I'm sorry. Huh. Wow. I'm not allowed to do things like that. Right? I'm not allowed to just say, oh, I wouldn't do it again. I'm sorry. Right? I would get in trouble. Right? And I hate making that point. But I mean, is the truth, isn't it?
To call himself young.
Thanks, Tom. As always.
That was an Australian accent.
Yeah.
Is what he tried.
No, that's
to
the
do.
BBC. They do
I got
that.
you. Okay,
Nice, Tom.
Go ahead, Tom. That was
so
good.
I remember we had a very interesting conversation, and it was probably the first awkward moment.
Let me ask this question. So, is it okay for, how old is Zuck right now? 39? Has he hit 40
Probably
yet?
40 right now.
How old is Zuck? Zuck
Over
age?
under 40.
Okay. I mean, he's
40.
Okay, he's 40 years old. So 2016, he's what? 32. Mm-hmm. 2020, he's 36. One of the smartest guys in the world, worth a couple $100 billion. Okay. Does he have the right to change his mind and sincerely be wrong?
Yes.
Does he have the right to do that? Yes.
Not only the right,
Yes,
but the
of course.
obligation, like all of us.
Okay.
Everyone should.
But the point is, like, he can still change, right? He can still change and say, hey, I effed up with my move on what I did. He can still do that.
Correct. But we don't have the obligation to forgive him. That was my point.
I'm totally with you. So, okay, that's great. We don't have the obligation to forgive him, which is kind of the part about we can, maybe forgive, move on, don't forget. He's capable of doing it again. Maybe you don't trust him. His trust score is lower with us right now. Okay, no problem. But if a person's going through this phase
and I guess that's the best that I have for him, right? That's all I can do, right? That's all we can do. Hey, we don't trust Mark Zuckerberg. What does that mean what does that mean in the long form, right? What is the end goal? Okay, we've made a unanimous decision not to trust Mark Zuckerberg. Awesome. We agree. Now what? Now what? Has there been any legislation written that says if you hold back the truth from the American people for any reason, then you are now liable for something or the other? I don't know. I'm just coming off the top of my head because I'll tell you, we have enough legislation and stuff written that, if you share so-called information, you might be a terrorist. Or we have it written to shut us up, right? But I don't see anything enshrining the, besides precedents and lawsuits, right? And you'd have to go to another lawsuit. Why don't we enshrine freedom of speech? I mean, because unfortunately, the First Amendment, it needs to be enshrined in some fashion. It means to codify the fact that if you censor Americans from information, then now you are liable to some sort of not harassment, but something that you've done to the Americans, some liability to the American people. That's how far I take it. You know something, and you know that this poor person's reporting this thing, and you go out of your way to stop it, you should get in trouble for that, period. And that'll make people think twice about doing things like that. I think something like that should be figured out.